but how can we be a city that brings beauty and design to all, not just the wealthy? And I'm going to start with Liz, because Liz has an interesting perspective that was sort of a little beyond sort of the LEED certification and, sorry, wrong question. Our standard, affordable housing, and talking about naturally occurring affordable housing, and not just building cheap apartments. But can you tell us more about what natural occurring affordable housing is?
Yeah, well, just to back up on it, I think what I'm very aware that what we do is high-end residential. Clients come to us and we are doing large-scale gut renovations, full interior design. It's not an inexpensive process. It's not a quick fix. It's very intentional. It takes time and investment and loads of collaboration and all of those things. And but I'm aware that some of the things that I do as a company and other design firms too, I am known for the work that we do on saving old homes. I didn't necessarily set out to do that, but it like my creativity is finding its way like water. I think my passion is too, and that's just what I'm naturally drawn to. And then once you do it, you kind of get hired for that same thing, and fortunately I like that same thing. But I'm aware that I have a history of taking, my first home here was a bungalow for $300,000. That doesn't even exist anymore. And of course, we're going to have growth, and as we become bigger, there's a limited, resource of available space, and that's going to drive prices. But I think I've just become very aware recently of that impact that I have, and I'm not going to change my business for that. But I think that within our work, as well as what I'd like to share with the other designers that I collaborate with and other builders and architects, is how I can take what we've learned in doing those things and apply it to still taking time, still preserving old homes. Sometimes they're bungalows, sometimes ranches, very, very middle class intentioned housing, and preserve it still, but not in a way that makes it unaffordable to most. And I think that it really hit home for me, sort of the naturally occurring affordable housing, because it was right across the street from me. And I have 3 incredible bungalows that sit right across the street from me, and somebody's trying to rezone them to build, if you're familiar with DB90, it's density bonus 90 feet. So in smack dab in the middle of a residential area where there's 3 affordable homes that are housing people, students, young professionals, we're going to tear it down. I understand that we need more housing, but I wish that there were creative ways to do it. And I get really excited when I meet somebody like Cam or other people who are taking a really creative approach and thinking outside the box to how could we preserve those homes and add on to them, so monopolize the land space and build, but not tear down what we have. And I think that's my big fear, is that we, in the effort to try to keep up with the growth that's required and the literally housing and encourage affordability, we lose some of that character and we start finding cheap solutions and just mass production and in a poor quality way. So I love these ideas where you guys are taking technology. And when I first met you, I was like, okay, we totally need to do something together. I love that yin and yang. I love the juxtaposition. Like, we're over here like trying to save the old and really preserve, and you guys are coming up with incredible solutions that are cost effective and creative, and like the melding of that is really interesting to me. So yeah.
Well, Cam?
Yeah.
She set you up.
Thanks, Liz. Yeah. No, it's amazing, like what you do as well, because that's a limitation of our technology, for example, of maybe renovating an old home. But when I think about this question, thinking about it from like the icon side of things, a really exciting thing from what we do is we use the exact same wall system, the exact same 3D printer for the homes that we're doing at Community First Village and the homes that we're selling for over $1 million in Wimberley Springs. So there's no bias there. It's everything is exactly the same. So to be able to give that type of resilient housing and that material and the final product to an affordable home is incredibly exciting. Another thought I had on the idea of good design is more on like the city level, not just necessarily what we do, and it really is about like public spaces and what's offered to the residents of a city, whether it's parks or trails or even though we lack the infrastructure a tiny bit here, but public transportation. So there's ways that we can make an impact on a small level, then maybe in a medium-sized level like Icon, and then also at a city level.
Megan, you had some thoughts on this one. You want to tell us about Central District Brewing?
Sure. I think what Kim said is about like being able to use technology to do both community first housing, but then also do more expensive homes. I think the reality is we really just feel like, and my partner Frank and I feel that, good design is not just a luxury. It's really a human right, and it's something that everyone should have spaces that uplift them and make them feel great. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a large price tag on that. It could mean just us being ingenuitive and creative about the materials that we use and how we use it, that we're really trying to create places and not just spaces that really like help us interact as people with where we are, and that doesn't have to be expensive. And I think Anita said that Central District Brewing is one of our projects that we had downtown Austin with a client that just didn't have a very large budget, but how do we work with those clients but make the details really matter that are still like ingenuitive? I mean, we saw expanded metal and made it into detailed doors. We made custom fixtures walked through Home Depot and found copper tubing and made custom light fixtures out of that. There's just ways that we can use just the materials that are around us in really thoughtful and creative ways to just make spaces for people that, don't have to be super expensive, like I said. We just need to leverage that creativity in our city and around us. And how do we, make space for everyone here?
Lara, you had some thoughts too. Oh, you guys are hogging.
I do feel like a lot of this was already touched on, but I think public spaces is so important. Public spaces, the idea of public spaces is so important. New York's not New York without Central Park, without Brooklyn Bridge Park. And I love what Waterloo Greenway is doing. I also really love seeing some of those resources like creative reuse, where we're not only being a little more sustainable and closing that like supply circle, but also providing those resources that are a little more affordable to people. I think those were my main thoughts on that one.
All right.